The beat of summer is on today, Friday.
Are we ready? Yes!
Maroon 5 is back on our plaza and kicking off your weekend with a concert you don't want to miss. The City Concert Series, Friday.
Wake up with Maroon 5, only on Today.
The word that comes to mind is alive.
This is
when you see 40 people at 4 a.m., whoa, it's a Studio One ad.
There's not a morning I walk in here that I don't pinch myself and think, I get to be here.
People are getting inundated with information. You still need places like Nightly News.
For NBC Nightly News, I'm Tom Yamas.
Because it's a place you can turn to get the truth.
Ground zero in this wildfire devastation.
It's what separates us.
Americans woke up and they were shocked.
Owning breaking news, utter devastation, telling important stories. You can feel the excitement building, putting a lot of issues in context.
For NBC News, I'm Tom Yamas.
That's what we do every night.
This is Stephanie's closet. This makes Stephanie think ironing is fun. Sometimes. This is a smart drawer, a space designed by California Closets, a company built on listening to Stephanie and you. Schedule your free design consultation now.
Well, we're not done yet. 109, 108 looks like the peak heat indices over the next couple of days. 105 right on the cusp of a heat advisory for Wednesday. And then after that, we should be done with our heat advisories for now. We're actually heading the opposite direction. This is a big shift compared to what we had last week. 100 today, 99 tomorrow, and then mid to the upper 90s Wednesday and Thursday. After that, 88. Then the lower 80s even, with on and off storms really starting to pick up, especially through the middle of this week. Let's head over to Majestic on your Monday morning commute.
Good morning, everyone. Well, keeping a close eye on a few things for you. We do have 3 active accidents I want to get to talk to you about. The first one, though, is going to be the most important one. We're watching this very carefully. It's an accident. The shoulder is right now blocked. It's on I-85 South at University City Boulevard, exit 43, but it's backed up to W.T. Harris Boulevard. So again, the shoulder's blocked. I'm not seeing any significant slowdowns, but just be mindful of that. Otherwise, another crash here. It's on Wilkinson Boulevard between Sam Wilson Road and Parrott Drive. Hope you have a great Monday and take it easy out on the roads.
Good morning, everybody. It's a Monday morning, just after 9 a.m. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal, and a number of things we are looking at today. Of course, here in the Carolinas, this heat wave continuing for day 3 as we are weather alert. Our Chris Mulcahy is going to be joining us here in just a few moments to talk about how long this is going to last. And this is extremely dangerous if you've been outside at all over the weekend. Precautions that you need to take. Very dangerous situation. Of course, former North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, we did hear end of last week that he was going to make a run for the Senate, and indeed he has made an announcement officially that he is going to run for a Senate seat vacated by Thom Tillis. And a crash on 485 over the weekend, killing 6 people. Terrible wreck there. We'll bring you the very latest as we cover things from the weekend. In the meantime, this hot weather is with us, and it is a terrible day for us, and continuing your week. So in all seriousness, we hate the heat. I mean, we don't hate it, but this is extremely brutal, Chris.
Yeah, we've been talking about it's making people irritable.
Irritable even.
Yeah, so
not me.
Irritability and leading to some road rage because of it. But here's the deal. Today I have a high of 100, but it could actually feel hotter. So this is a type of situation that we hit 100 degrees back on June 25th, and we hit a peak heat index about 110. I think today we hit about 100, and we're kind of on the same road to where we were to hit that 110 as where we're at earlier this morning. So first off, I want to start off with this. We had another record-tying start to the day, so it's not just about the highs. Everyone's so focused on that. You have your coldest lows, you have your hottest highs, but then there's also things in between. You can have your coldest highs and your warmest lows. So this means that on Saturday and Sunday, we officially solidified the record for the hottest start to any July 26th or July 27th. Today we tied the record set back in 2016, and my low temperature forecast for tonight is 77, so it looks like we could tie it again by tomorrow. So it's where you start, and it's also how you finish. So we kind of have both that mentality for today, and it's amazing that the current time right now is 9:03. By the time that I'm saying this, it is 87 degrees already. So that means we're going to be in the lower 90s by 10 o'clock. And check about how hot we actually feel. If this would advance for me, we feel like 94 already. And I remember here on June 25th when we were talking about that oppressive 110 that we hit, that it was about this range. I think it was 94 or 95 here in the Impact Studio starting off at 9 o'clock, and I was like, oh man, it's going to be a hot day. So this isn't just going to be a hot one. Yesterday was 102. Today I have a high of 100 degrees, but I think we have more mugginess in the air. So realistically, I think you could have a spike anywhere from 105 to 110. But a little bit close to 110 when this is all said and done. Because check it out. You add these together, it's a complex formula. The 87 with a dew point of 73 feels like 94. But you could feel as much as 108 to think 109 between about 3 and 5 o'clock. So I think that's where it's going to be the worst. And temperatures likely going to be in the upper 90s to 100 degrees at that point. As far as any records or things going, it doesn't look like we're going to hit that 5-day streak. I think temperatures are going to topple down after that. But still, it's going to feel hot. 108 is what we have on Tuesday, 105 on Wednesday. Once we aren't likely going to feel like 105, they're going to drop off the heat advisories. But that still is already set for tomorrow. We have one from noon to 8 today, 11 a.m. until 8 tomorrow. Wednesday still in question, and then temperatures are actually heading down. But another thing I really want people to focus in on is the air temperature and what the surface temperatures are. So we always bring up your pets, but it's also, I've done this before, oh, I'm barefoot, I'm just going to go run the car real quick, and you regret that decision. I'm going to tell you why you're going to regret it today. So in the shade, one thing that people don't realize is that actual air temperature, say at Charlotte Douglas, is actually measured in complete darkness. There's a little hood that's over there, so no sunlight is able to skew it. So in the shade, likely you're feeling the actual air temperature to a little bit cooler. In direct sunshine, this is my favorite stat that people overlook all the time, usually average up to about 10 degrees hotter in direct sunshine, as much as 15. So that means in direct sun, sitting on the lawn, you can feel like 105 to 110 degrees with an actual air temperature of 100 today. Concrete, 135. Within 60 seconds, you can actually hurt a dog's paws when it's at 125. Well, look at Brick. Brick is one that people always overlook. It's red, it's darker, but you wouldn't realize too much. Actually could feel as much as about 145 to about 155 for blacktop. And I've also seen measurements up to 170. So blacktop is not something that you want to mess around with. It's the air temperature, but it's also the power of the sunshine as well. But here's the relief. Here's the good news, something that we can all look forward to. 100 today. Air temperatures down to the mid-90s on Thursday, 88 on Friday, and then the lower 80s, where 81, by the way, is the average high for September 21st. And we're going to have the lower 80s potentially for this coming weekend. Now, note, it probably is going to come with some clouds and some rain, but hey, still, we got it. As far as our heat impacts, as I mentioned, things are kind of winding down, but even the National Weather Service is backing up what I'm saying just a major instead of extreme. I know that's splitting hairs as far as good news goes. And then eventually we're back down to the orange. The reason why we're not going to be as hot as what we had over the last couple of days, and why today's a little bit more of a struggle bus to get to 100 degrees, is because we don't have that ridge, that heat dome directly over us, because that's able to allow for your maximum potential. That truly, I think if we are completely cloud-free through yesterday, we could have got up to 104, and 104 is the max. We haven't been able to get past that. We've hit that 6 times in Charlotte history, but hey, 102 still within a degree of the record, and Saturday at 101 was the record for that day in climatology. But this ridge is going to move its way to the west. That's going to allow for some storms to start to rotate what's around the Ring of Fire. So shout out to Johnny Cash there. So you can have some storms that are more likely heading each and every afternoon. But what's really interesting is that the ridge is replaced by what's a trough. That's what's really cooling us down. So we go from 10 degrees above normal to 10 degrees below normal. That high pressure system erodes, but then it'll keep some troughs and some low pressure systems around. So thus that is upping our rain chances. So on and off, on and off. As for the best rain chance today, I think it's tonight. A lot of us will be sleeping, but since we have what's called a strong temperature inversion, you could really have the ones that rattle the windows or resonate for a long time. So if you do hear thunder, it could be pretty loud and wake some of us up. Tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, we're starting to deal with more of a usual pop-up shower and thunderstorm criteria. It's been a little bit too hot, not great over the weekend, but I think really our evenings are our best chance for all these days. But it's nice to see the red bars drop off to the regular blue ones Friday heading through the weekend, where officially day 25 of 90 plus will be Thursday. Friday, it looks like it comes to an end. So finally, the streak is over just in time for August. So August already much better than July.
Like that. Liking how we're starting August. Yeah, I'm just thinking, all right, we need to get through the next 5 days, next 4 days. And so countdown is on. Be safe, be careful, everybody, and heed all of Chris's advice. Thanks for those temperatures on those surfaces.
Oh, no problem. And I
walk outside barefoot
I made
anyway.
a more simplistic version right here too. Lake Norman will have a water temperature of 93 degrees as a bonus.
That is.
Yes, almost bath water. So welcome.
Yeah, I just feel like all the germs. All right, thank you, Chris. We'll see you in about an hour.
Okay, see you.
As we stay weather alert. Back out here in the Live Impact studio now at 9:09. President Trump, of course, traveled to the UK, left Friday there for a 5-day stint, his first visit to the UK since winning the election. Right now, he is participating in a bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain, as well as Northern Ireland. Let's go ahead and listen and hear live as he's also taking questions from media.
And not one person said there was any love from anybody. You know, in other words, you have hundreds of people, and you see it in the movies where somebody's a prisoner and somebody's helping. You even see it with Germany, where people would be let into a house and live in an attic in secret. You know, you'd see signs of some. I said, did you see anything like, did they wink at you? Did they say, don't worry, you're going to be okay? I never received, I ask that question all the time. I've never received one answer that said, yeah, they really wanted to help. No, the hatred is just incredible.
Yeah. The access to food issue, what more can Israel do? The Prime Minister as well.
Well, I think Israel can do a lot. I will say that Iran, I think, interjected themselves in this last negotiation. Can you imagine the beating they took We wiped out their nuclear possibilities. They can start again. If they do, we'll wipe it out faster than you can wave your finger at it. We'll have to do that. We will do that gladly, openly and gladly. They've been saying, Iran's been sending out bad signals, I'll tell you. For a country that just got wiped out, they've been sending very bad signals, very nasty signals. And they shouldn't be doing that. They shouldn't be doing that. They were talking about things that they shouldn't be talking about. They were interviewed on a recent show, and the foreign minister saying things that he shouldn't be talking about, shouldn't be saying. And I think they got involved in this negotiation, telling Hamas and giving Hamas signals and orders, and that's not good. That's not good.
Yeah, I would say, look, we need to get the hostages out. They've been held for a very, very long time, and we must always start from there. But also recognise the situation on the ground in Gaza is absolutely intolerable, and I think that certainly speaking for the British public and myself, seeing those images of starving children in particular are revolting, and there's a sense of revulsion in the British public at what they're seeing, and they know and we know that humanitarian aid needs to get in at speed, at volume. Yes, some could be airdropped, and we're working with others, with the US, with Jordan on that, but the trucks need to get in because that's the only way you can get the volume in, and we do thank the President for the work he's done to try to get to a ceasefire, which we desperately need, but also to put aid in to the region. There needs to be much more of that. We need to galvanise other countries in support of getting that aid in. And yes, that does involve putting pressure on Israel because it absolutely, this is a humanitarian catastrophe now. We also need to look beyond that situation to what then happens in the event of a ceasefire, which is desperately needed. And that's why I'm really pleased that we're having a discussion about what a peace plan would look like after that, the component parts of that. And we have to be really clear at this point that Hamas can play absolutely no part in any future governance in Palestine, and that's and in Gaza. And it's really important that we're clear about what triggered this, who took the hostages, and calling out Hamas for what they are, which is a terrorist organisation. But I think today the focus has to be on getting that humanitarian aid in at speed.
Will the UK avoid your pharmaceutical tariffs, and will it happen before August the 1st?
Well, we'll be announcing on pharmaceuticals sometime in the very near future. We have a very big plan on pharmaceuticals. We want to bring a lot of the pharmaceuticals back to America, where, you know, where they should be. If you look at COVID, it sort of taught us a lesson. We were getting our pharmaceuticals from other countries. We almost didn't make any. We used to make them ourselves, and we're going to want to be making a lot of them ourselves, all of them in a sense. But you also have a good pharmaceutical business. We'll be dealing with you on pharmaceuticals also. And we certainly feel a lot better with your country working on pharmaceuticals for America than some of the other countries that were with the relationship we have. You would not use that as a cudgel. You wouldn't be using it as a block. But we're going to be announcing sometime very soon, I think, pharmaceuticals are our whole thing. And the companies know. And drug prices are going to be coming down very substantially in the U.S., very, very substantially. And that'll happen very soon.
Mr. President, we can all sense your frustration.
No, go ahead.
Vladimir Putin.
Hold it.
We can all sense your frustration with Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
Do you think he's been lying to you about his intentions in Ukraine?
Well, I don't want to use the word lying. All I know is we'd have a good talk. And it seemed on, let's say, 3 occasions, it seemed that we were going to have a ceasefire and maybe peace, and you divide it up and you do whatever you have to do, that obviously to get to the end. And all of a sudden, missiles are flying into Kiev and other places. And I say, what's that all about? I spoke to him 3-4 hours ago, and it looked like we were on our way. And then I'd say, forget it, and I'm not going to talk anymore. You know, this has happened on too many occasions, and I don't like it. I don't like it.
How successful social media site There are new powers here to censor your site, states mandate.
To censor my site?
To censor your site.
You mean Truth? Truth Social?
I mean Truth. Is that okay?
Well, I don't think he's going to censor my site because I say only good things. Will you please uncensor my site?
Yeah, we're not censoring anyone. We've got some measures which are there to protect children, in particular from sites like suicide sites. We've had too many cases in the United Kingdom of young children taking their own lives, and when you look through their social media, they've been accessing sites which talk about suicide and encouraging, if you like, children down that road, and that is what we want to stop. Nothing about censoring free speech. But this country is the proud free speech in this country has been for a very long time. We're very, very proud of it. We will protect it forever. But at the same time, I personally feel very strongly that we should protect our young teenagers, and that's what it usually is, from things like suicide sites. I don't see that as a free speech issue. I see that as a child protection issue.
We actually passed a bill in Congress, headed up by my wife, actually, which was to pull bad stuff out having to do with children, because it is a problem. But I cannot imagine him censoring Truth Social. That's more of a very political, and it's been a very big success.
Not going to happen.
And I only say good things about him and his country, so they say to me, you're making a mistake. I'm going to give my ambassador the job, make sure it's not censored. I had not heard that.
You're a big investor in this area, Mr. President.
Say it?
You're a big investor in this area.
To put it mildly. Like this ballroom that we built from scratch.
Do you worry, though, about the risk of increased taxes here? Will that stop them investing? And do you have a message last night on the soccer to the English Lionesses who won the European trophy?
So I think that I have a theory that low taxes bring growth. We just passed a big tax cut bill, the biggest bill in the history of our country, actually. And one big, beautiful bill. I used to call it the great one big, beautiful. We took the word great out. But it's actually called the One Big Beautiful Bill. It's essentially a very large tax cut bill for everybody. And our country's pretty soon, I think I can say it right now, our country has never done better. We had a country that was dead. It was dead 6 months ago, a year ago. Leaders from NATO, we had a very successful meeting at NATO. Your prime minister was there. It was an unbelievable love fest with all of those countries. And they agreed to go 5% and all the things. Very smart to do. But many of the leaders said, essentially, they said, your country was dead 1 year ago. 1 year ago, we had a dead, and we did. We had a dead country. We had a president who didn't know where the hell he was. We had horrible, horrible people running our country. I think they were sick people, actually, sick. You talk about censorship, those are big. That's all they did was censor, and they didn't know what to do. And they had high taxes. They wanted more tax, total censorship, transgender for everybody, men playing in women's sports, everything bad they wanted, and they still do. That's what they still do. That's why they're down at 15% or something. I saw it today, the lowest that the other part of the Democrats have ever been. But no, I find that when you lower taxes, you get growth. I will say this area, and the Prime Minister hasn't been here very long, in all fairness. I think he'll be a tax cutter. But I find that as we cut taxes, we did more business. In my first tax bill, we cut taxes from 39% down to 22%. And we ended up at the end of the first year, when it was still a little raw, we ended up taking in much more revenue than we did at 39%. It was pretty amazing. And we're taking in a lot of revenue right now, and this was an additional tax cut. So I find, for whatever it's worth, tax cuts are very good.
Russia moved up the deadline. It's now 10 or 12 days. Is the sanction the same, that you're going to slap 100% tariff on anybody who does business with Russia?
So what I'm doing is we're going to do secondary sanctions, unless we make a deal. And we might make a deal. I don't know. You don't know. It's... We've done so many peace deals. This is the one I started out with, and I know President Putin called me. He wanted to know if I could help him with Iran. I said, no, I don't need your help with Iran. I need your help with Russia. And so that's the one deal that continues to linger. And we're losing 5,000. They're losing. I'm not losing. You're not losing. but 5,000 Russian and Ukrainian kids a week are dying. And that's not mentioning the people that are dying also in towns where, you know, he's lobbing missiles into certain towns like Kiev. And he's got to make a deal. It's too many people are dying. It's a really bloody war. And the 5 is now, they're really telling me that number is obsolete. It's like 7.
That's terrible.
So you have 7,000 Russian and Ukrainian soldiers dying every single week for no reason whatsoever. So you would think, based on common sense, you would think he'd want to make a deal. We'll find out.
No communication with publicly. Have you had any other Ukrainian channels conversations with the Russians reiterating this?
In what?
Reiterating this new pressure and deadline.
Yeah, we're going to have I mean, well, you're the press. I'm reiterating it to you. Yeah, I'd say 10 to 12 days. I'll announce it probably tonight or tomorrow. But there's no reason to wait. If you know what the answer is going to be, why wait? And it would be sanctions and maybe tariffs, secondary tariffs. You know what a secondary tariff is. And look, the Russian economy, I don't want to do that to Russia. I love the Russian people. They're great people. I don't want to do that to Russia. But this thing, they're losing a lot of Russians. They've lost 1 million Russians. And that's the, sons. That's the sons and daughters of Russian families. They leave the house. They go, bye, Mom, bye, Dad, and then they get blown away. And Ukrainian, too. Look at Ukraine. It's a disaster what's happened there. But it continues to go on. As you know, we made a deal where the European Union is essentially involved, but it's NATO, and we're supplying weapons to NATO. NATO's now paying because the United States, because of Biden's in for $350 billion, the European nations are in for about $100 billion. Should be the opposite way, by the way, because we have a big ocean in between. Should be the opposite way. But I think that eventually something's going to happen. It should happen fast. So many people are dying. You know, when I settled out with Congo and Rwanda, they lost almost 8 million people. And it just made so much sense. And if I didn't get involved, they wouldn't have done it. They weren't even thinking about settling it. It was just going on forever. And nobody could go into those territories because they'd get killed. They'd get killed. And now they have I hear it's a whole different ballgame. We settled it. This is one that should be settled. Russia, Ukraine. This is one that really should be settled.
Mr. Scotland's First Minister has today set out his plans for a second referendum on Scottish independence. Can I get your reaction to that as someone with deep ties to Scotland? Prime Minister, can I also get your thoughts on that? If the SNP do win a majority in next year's election, then they have the right to hold the referendum,
Well, I don't want to get involved in your politics. We got enough politics of our own. I will say that I predicted what was going to happen the last time. You remember? I was opening the first course over at Aberdeen, and I was over here, and at the same time, and they asked me that question. I made a prediction. It was the day before the vote, and I made it correct. I like to be correct, but I made a correct prediction. I don't know. I do say that when they made that deal, somebody said that it was, and I remember this very distinctly. I said, could they do this all the time? There was a little bit of a restriction, like 50 or 75 years before you could take another vote, because, a country can't go through that too much. I don't know the First Minister, but I've heard great things about him. I've spoken to him. I hear very good things about him, and I'm meeting him today, so maybe I'll have a better opinion then.
And let me answer that straightforwardly, because I believe in a stronger Scotland, in a better United Kingdom. And I think that at a time like this, when it's quite clear that there's uncertainty and volatility around the world, the strength of the United Kingdom together is very important for all 4 nations, very important for Scotland. And that should be our priority, that should be our focus, not on the politics, which feels like the politics of yesteryear now, at a time like this. And I think that the First Minister should probably focus more on his delivery in Scotland than on his constitutional issues, and we might have a better health service in Scotland. But at a time like this, I think the United Kingdom is always stronger as four nations. I think that's better for all four nations. I think that's how Scotland is stronger. Look at the deal that we've been able to do with the United States, a really important deal that we made just months ago. That is what the United Kingdom can do when we act as a powerful set of four nations together, and there are very many other examples.
Mr. President, you toured the Federal Reserve last week. And
I did.
Set to meet this week. Do you think your visit has inspired a potential rate cut, or how do you see things shaping out this week?
Well, it's interesting. I did tour it. I toured the building. And if you looked at this building, if you came here like 14, 15 years ago, we've had it a long time. It's been an honor to have Turnberry. But I was on much more opulent walls, ceilings, floors. We had to do this. And we did a very great job. I mean, you see how beautiful it is inside. Everything was saved. Everything was preserved. We had ceilings that were in bad shape. They were falling down. You know, it's very old. Wasn't properly maintained. Now it's brand new and beautiful. And we saved everything. If you really think here, you took a look and you were sort of commenting the coloring. Now, this is a brand new building. But if you look outside, it's equally opulent and beautiful. And we didn't do that by spending, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars in surrounding a railing underneath an area that you're painting. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. Brand new, beautiful plywood, very expensive, wrapped around a figurine or a railing to preserve it. But you don't have to do that. You can just wrap a cloth, they call it a blanket, and you don't even have to do that if you're careful when you're doing the ceiling. But I don't know what they did. They'd take down a ceiling and put up a new ceiling, and the new ceiling had no opulence to it, or they'd fix the ceiling. But I would say that all I need is a good plaster and a can of paint. And, you know, they spent $3.9 billion, and I spent a lot of money too, but it's I'd say 3.8 billion less, you know, meaning I spent probably $100 million making this place incredible.
And you were saying a lot of that was local trades.
I used local
we
trades.
were looking at the windows, I think, in the next room.
I had local trades do a lot of this. We have the most opulent windows next door, and I had a choice. Do I take them out? And, you know, they've suffered through 125 years of storms. You have very big storms in this area. When you have a storm, you have a storm.
We do it properly.
And they made it, barely, but they were in bad shape. So I had some local people come up, and we looked at them. You have some great craftsmen here, I think is what you're getting at. And they said, sir, honestly, they've had it. We can copy it and do it much better. And they did. If you take a look at the windows in the various dining rooms, they're magnificent. And they're new, and they're much better looking than what was there. Same exact look, other than a much higher quality.
But do you foresee a rate?
And they're local people. I use a lot of your local people. You have really great local tradesmen here, yes?
But do you foresee a rate cut this week? Do you expect
A rate cut? Meaning a tax cut?
No. Do you expect the Fed to cut rates this
Oh, I think he has to. You had 11 cuts, you know? In Europe, they had 11 cuts. In other places, they had 10 or 11 cuts. And we had none, but I'm not going to say anything bad. You know, we're doing so well, even without the rate cut. With the rate cut, it would be better. It affects our housing a little bit. Look, we should be 3 points lower. Each point is $360 billion. Can you imagine that? That's big numbers. Each point, 1 point of cut, is the equivalent of $360 billion in savings. That's big stuff, you know. Those are big numbers in the U.S. Everything's big. He should cut. A smart person would cut. You know, he leaves very soon, so it's like one of those things. But I'll miss him greatly. I'll miss him.
Turnbury, if I may, have you or will you enlist the Prime Minister in your effort to bring the Open back to Turnbury? And Prime Minister, you described this beautiful course. Do you agree with the President that it's time to bring the Open back to Turnbury?
Well, as you know, that's not a matter directly for me. That's for the sporting authorities. But look, I mean, it is the first time I've been here. It's absolutely magnificent, both inside and out, and looking at the courses itself and the building. It's incredible. But the decision on the Open is not a decision for me, as you'll understand. I should just pick up on the earlier question, because I, for one, will say congratulations to the Lionesses. Last night, our women's football team won the Euros.
All right now you are watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus here just after 9:30 on a Monday morning. I'm Jane Monreal. We appreciate you having the app on your smart TV. That way you can watch for free all over your house, your doctor's office, the lawyer's office, in the waiting room, what have you. Right now we are listening in live with President Trump doing a 5-day visit in the UK, speaking on a bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. We continue to listen in here live on WCNC Plus.
Charles, I've known him for quite a while. He's a great guy, a great person. He looks really well to me. He looks great. So we look forward to coming over. It's going to be. It was one of the most beautiful evenings I've ever seen. I hate to say it, but nobody does it like you people in terms of the pomp and ceremony.
It's true.
And I look forward to being here with the ambassador. Our ambassador is a very, very successful man who just wanted to do this. And I said, how are you going to be able to do that? And he's so committed to, the relationship between the countries. But he's a very great guy and a very, very successful man. So I very much thank you for doing this.
No, thank you for the honor, sir.
Mr. President, will you go to London, or are you worried it's no longer welcome?
About what?
Will you visit London during the state visit?
I will. I'm not a fan of your mayor.
Why not?
I think he's done a terrible job, the mayor of London. But the nasty person, I think he's done. I think he's
a friend of mine, right?
No, I think he's done a terrible job. But I would certainly visit London. Yeah.
Would you have So MP Nigel Farage has asked Parliament to be recalled when you're there.
Well, I like Nigel. I mean, Nigel, as you know, is a friend of mine. Nigel's done very well. He's a friend of mine. And Keir's a friend of mine.
Would you recall Parliament so that the President can talk to MPs?
Well, Parliament's in recess at the time, but look, I do want to be clear. This is an unprecedented and very special state visit. This has never been done before, and there'll be many elements of it that have never been seen before. So this is going to be a historic occasion, and we're all very much looking forward to it. And I was very, very pleased to be able to put forward the invitation when we were at the White House earlier this year. So, but this is not just a state visit. They're always incredible occasions, and this is an unprecedented second state visit. So you can imagine just how special that's going to be.
The fact that it's never been done before, and that's because it's non-consecutive, and it's the only reason it could be, made it even more interesting, frankly. So it's going to be great. And being with Charles and Camilla and everybody, I've gotten to know because of 4 years and now 6 months. Gotten to know a lot of the family members. They're great people. They're really great people. And in that sense, I think that the UK is very lucky. You could have people that weren't great people. I don't know if I'd say that, but you could have people that weren't. But
we're very lucky to have our royal family. Absolutely fantastic.
So we really look forward to that. As far as Parliament, if he wants me to speak in Parliament, I'll do it. Okay? But it doesn't have to be then. It could be some other time. Maybe we should save it for another time. We'll let the one visit speak for itself. But anytime, if I could be helpful, I would certainly do it. Thank you.
Mr. President, with the EU deal, alternatives, are you considering to get the hostages out if there's no ceasefire deal?
Well, there are a couple of alternatives. Some are pretty strong, but the most sensible alternative is talk and negotiation. But I said a long time ago, at a certain point, they're not going to be talking because they're going to lose their shield. The hostages are a shield for them. They did horrible things on October 7th. And the hostages are a shield. And I said, you know, you're going to get down a number, and the number's going to be at a point where you're not going to be able to get them back unless you're going to be very energetic, or to put it a different way, unless you're going to be very ruthless and violent. It's a bad situation to be in, very bad.
Mr. President, with the EU deal last night, you talked during the campaign about President Putin respecting you and helping you have a relationship with him. Do you still feel that way, that he respects you, considering the conversations you've had that have been really nice?
Yeah. I've always gotten along with President Putin. I have had a great relationship with him. And he went through the Russia hugs, too. You know, I mean, it was, we used to talk about it. We used to say, you know, it's too bad we really can't do anything between our country. Because if we did, they'd say, oh, it's, you know, some. Look, I was tough on Putin because I was the one that closed up Nord Stream, and Biden came along and opened it up. I was very tough on Putin in one way, but we got along very well. And I never really thought this would happen. I thought we'd be able to negotiate something out. And maybe that'll still happen, but it's very late down the process. So I'm disappointed. And, you know, the funny thing is that their economy isn't that big, and it's having a hard time right now. But it's a relatively small economy. A strong military, but strong economy. And it used to be a strong economy. Now it's not. He's going through a lot. Economically, it's not easy, but it's pretty small, you know, compared to that magnificent size of that land. The land is massive. It's got, I guess, 9 time zones or something. It's a massive piece of land. Russia could be so rich. It could be so rich. It could be thriving like practically no other country. And they're holding that back because we can't. He wants to do trade deals with us. He talks about it all the time. He wanted to. And I envision that, a lot of trade with Russia. They have a lot of valuable things. When you talk about rare earth, they have serious rare earth, right? They have just about every form you can have. So, you know, Russia could be so rich right now. Instead, they spend all their money on war. They spend everything on war and killing people, and it doesn't make sense to me. I thought he would want to end this thing quickly. I really felt it was going to end, but every time I think it's going to end, he kills people.
Could a meeting help, and are you considering, has been proposed?
I don't know. I'm not, you know, I'm not so interested in talking anymore. He talks, we have such nice conversations, such respectful and nice conversations, and then people die the following night with a missile going into a town and hitting, I mean, recently, I guess, the nursing home, but they hit other things. Whatever they hit, people die. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
We've just had a sense of your differences in political persuasion when Nigel Farage and Sadiq Khan came up in conversation. I wonder if you have any advice, either of you, for a very divided, polarized world on how you make your relationship?
Not differences, yeah. Not differences. I happen to like both men. I like this man a lot, and I like Nigel. And, you know, I don't know the politics over here. I don't know where they stand. I would say one is slightly liberal, not that liberal, slightly, and the other one is slightly conservative. But they're both good men.
Mr. President, look, I mean, we like each other, we respect each other, we get on, and we've both got a great love of our countries, of our families, and therefore there's a huge amount that we have already achieved actually together and will achieve as we go forward leading our respective countries, and of course the relationship between our countries. Donald, we were talking about this morning, that whether it's defence, security, intelligence sharing, it's a close historic relationship. We have fought together in the past, we've always stood together. And I, for one, am very pleased that we've got such a good personal relationship between us. And I think it just shows that even if you come from different political perspectives, different backgrounds, actually there's a huge amount of common ground when it comes to what is in the best interests of our two great countries, and they are two great countries. And I think that because we focus on what's best for our countries, we get along very well, and I'm very pleased that that's the case.
Mr. President.
Well, I do know he wants to cut taxes as much as he can. And, politics is pretty simple. I assume there's a thing going on between you and Nigel, and it's okay. It's two parties. But generally speaking, the one who cuts taxes the most, the one who gives you the lowest energy prices and the best kind of energy, the one that keeps you out of wars. He's kept you out of wars. But the one that keeps you out of wars, you have a few basics, and you can go back 1,000 years, 1,000,000 years, whoever does these things. But low taxes, keep us safe, keep us out of wars, no crime, stop the crime. And in your case, a big immigration component, because I know that your attitude has become strong on immigration, strong on the toughness of immigration. But I think whoever's going to be, I think I won because we had a lousy president, to be honest with you. We had an incompetent president. But I won because I was very strong on immigration. Now, we had inflation. We had sort of a bad economy with this guy. We had a lot of problems, but I focused on immigration more than I did anything else. And I think I won because of immigration. I think I won because of the border. I had a bad border where millions of people were coming in to our country illegally. And as you know, in last month, 0 people came into our country illegally, 0. So we went from a bad, incompetently run border to the most competently run border that anybody's ever seen.
Prime Minister, the President makes it look easy dealing with illegal migration. You must be envious of his record in such a short period.
Well, I think we've been discussing illegal migration is a huge issue in both of our countries. In the United Kingdom, it is a real cause for concern, and that's why we must bear down on it in all its aspects, upstream, across Europe, where a lot of ours comes into through northern France, across the Channel, working with our allies, with our colleagues to break the gangs that are actually running this trade. But equally being very strong that when people have arrived in this country who've got no right to be here, then we should be removing them to their own country. And that's why I'm really pleased that we've been able to focus on this very intensely and get 35,000 people out of the United Kingdom who had no right to be here. Because the message has to be, you can't make your way to the United Kingdom. We won't tolerate our rules being broken. And if you get here, you will be returned to where you came from. And it's really important that we bear down on that.
We're such an attractive place for people to come if they want a better life, because we are.
People coming via the rules are always welcome. Of course, we've welcomed talent and people into this country for centuries, literally. But what the British people will not tolerate is those that break the rules. Those that come through irregular routes, and that's the really important distinction here. And that's what we're bearing down on. And I'm really pleased that we're through pretty well all of the international engagement I've done, all the meetings I've had, the country we've done deals with. We've done deals with countries in the last 12 months that many people thought it was not possible to deal with when it came to immigration, irregular immigration, and we returned thousands of people who've got no right to be here. And that, I think, is, for the British people, we're a reasonable, tolerant country where people are coming lawfully to contribute to our communities, to our country. Then, of course, they're welcome and have made a great contribution. But what people will not tolerate is those that are breaking the rules. And that is an issue of today, but it's a very British thing. We are people who respect rules. We don't approve of those that break rules.
I can say, though, that I had one of the greatest victories, they say the most consequential in 129 years, so I don't know about that, but it was pretty close. And we won all of the swing states, which never happens. We won the popular vote by millions of votes. We won, tremendous electoral college sweep. And I believe I did it more than anything else because of my strong stand on immigration. And I don't think this country is any different in that sense. I think it's a big factor. And it is with a lot of the European countries. Some of the countries have lost their way, and they have tremendous crime because of it. I mean, you had countries with no crime that now have tremendous crime. And you know the countries, and I know the countries. And so I think it's a huge factor in any election, not just this election, but in any election. I think the one that's toughest and most competent on immigration is going to win the election. But then you add low taxes and you add the economy. He did a great thing with the economy because a lot of money is going to come in because of the deal that was made. But I think that immigration is now bigger than ever before.
Mr. President, your Treasury Secretary is meeting with Chinese trade.
Right now.
Right now. Have you received an update? Do you expect a deal when these talks are over, especially with the August 1st
Yeah.
deadline?
No, they're meeting right now. And, we have a good relationship with China. But China's tough. And like you're tough, we're all tough, yes. But we're going to see what happens. We just concluded our deal with Japan. It was very good for everybody. We're making, great deals. We're making deals that are good for us, but we want them to be good for everybody. It's important. It's sometimes I'll do something that I shouldn't do because it's not very important for our country, but it's very meaningful for the country on the other side. And I'll let them have that point because it's very important for them. So I don't know, but we've made a lot of deals in the last couple of months. And then ultimately, as you might as well know, we're going to because we have, you have 200 countries, more, but people don't know that. You got a lot of countries. And I wouldn't want to sit down with 200 people and have to deal the way he was calling me all the time. We want this, we got to have that. These are tough negotiators. These are, look, they're smart people, they're tough negotiators. They know what they want. And, but we're going to be setting a tariff for essentially the rest of the world. And that's what they're going to pay if they want to do business in the United States. Because you can't sit down and make 200 deals. But we've made the big ones. We just finished Indonesia. They opened up their country. We just finished Japan. They opened up their country. Japan opened up the country. They were totally closed. They opened up to our cars, even to rice. Rice was a big deal. They would never take anybody else's rice. They're taking rice. But they opened up their country. Philippines, we just finished. They opened up their country. They were very closed. I'd love to see China open up their country. So we're dealing with China right now as we speak. Yeah, we're dealing with China right now.
The deal you've got with the UK is better than the one with the European Union. Is that because you think Brexit was a good idea for this country?
No, look, we have a very special relationship with this country. Like, my mother was born here. And not only born here, loved it. She'd come back, I tell you, religiously every year. And she'd go up to Stornoway and see her relatives. But she loved the country. Yeah, it probably it always has an impact. Always has an impact. But, Germany has a new leader, and I think he's terrific. I think you like him too.
Yeah,
I think he's terrific. My father was born in Germany. Or Germany his parents said, we're just out. But, so, you have a lot of feeling for this part of the world. I do. I want to see this part of the world do well. Germany, Scotland, the UK. I want this part of the world to do well. All of the nations. You do feel a certain, you have a warm feeling toward a part when your parents are born essentially here. And I think maybe it's slightly different. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But maybe it's slightly different.
Mr. President, you completely rule out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell when you landed. Is that something you would ever consider, and why?
Pardon for who?
For Ghislaine Maxwell.
Well, I'm allowed to give her a pardon, but nobody's approached me with it. Nobody's asked me about it. It's in the news about that aspect of it, but right now it would be inappropriate to talk about it. So,
Mr. President, your opposition to offshore wind is well known. In Scotland,
wind is a disaster.
But in Scotland and across the UK, wind farms.
I know, it's a shame. It's not his fault.
Well,
I used to tell Alex Salmond.
Have you spoken to the Prime Minister, and will you speak to the First?
Well, all I can do is give my way. Look, wind is the most expensive form of energy, and it destroys the beauty of your fields and your plains and your waterways. And look out there. There's no windmills. But if you look in another direction, you see windmills. When we go to Aberdeen, you'll see some of the ugliest windmills you've ever seen. They're the height of a 50-story building. And you can take 1,000 times more energy out of a hole in the ground this big. This big. It's called oil and gas. And you have it there, the North Sea. This big, that nobody would even see. You can take 1,000 times more power because the wind is intermittent, it doesn't work, it's extremely expensive. All the windmills are made in China. They used to be Germany and China, now they're mostly in China. They all come out of China. They say that the blades, which are carbon fiber, you can't bury. Oh, okay, you can't bury. What are you going to do, dump them in the ocean someplace? Because they only last a certain period of time. And remember, a windmill has a life of 8 years, especially when they're out in the salty sea and they start to rot and to rust. You're going to have to replace them. It's very hard to replace them. Wind needs massive subsidy. And you are paying in Scotland and in UK and all over the place where they have massive subsidies to have these ugly monsters all over the place. So I've restricted windmills in the United States. Now, a couple, we have, you know, the poor stupid people at the beginning, they approved them, so they have their full approvals. But I've restricted windmills in the United States because they also kill all your birds. You know, they wipe out. You know, it's interesting. If you shoot a bald eagle in the United States, they put you in jail for 5 years. And yet windmills knock out hundreds of them. They don't do anything. You explained that. So it's a very expensive energy. It's a very ugly energy. And we won't allow it in the United States.
So we believe in a mix. And obviously oil and gas is going to be with us for a very long time. And that'll be part of the mix. But also wind, solar, increasingly nuclear, which is what we've been discussing this morning, civil nuclear as we go forward. The most important thing for the United Kingdom is that we have control of our energy and we have energy independence and security.
And you've been watching live right now, a bilateral meeting between President Trump and the Prime Minister of the UK, as it is about 3 o'clock there in Scotland. And we will go back to that here as they are meeting live and taking questions from the media on that trip for the president as he is there for a 5-day stint. Here at home in the Carolinas, North Carolina specifically, if you haven't heard, former Governor Roy Cooper announced that he is going to run for Senate, jumping into the Senate race. This is his announcement on X this morning. Well, that is not quite sure what the audio is on that. Looks like it's been muted, but he is pretty much saying that he has thought about it and he is announcing his run for the Senate race. And that is a big boom for the Democrats who say that they see him as their best chance at grabbing that Senate seat after Thom Tillis stepped down. We do have our Ben Thompson, who's been covering Roy Cooper for many, many years, over the years. And he's here with us now in the Live Impact studio. Hey, Ben.
Hey, happy Monday.
Happy Monday. I'm kind of all over the place here as well, looking at all the videos and videos that were coming into the Impact studio. But like I said, you've been covering for so many years. You know Mr. Cooper. Are you surprised by his announcement?
Not at all. I think, if anything, people were surprised that it took so long for him to make the announcement. They thought he might have gotten in a month or so ago. It seemed like he took his time. But the last time I interviewed him when he was governor, I had asked him, would you run again if you could? And he said, absolutely. I love this job. So it told me then, this was over a year ago, that this was a man who was not done with public office and wanted to do more. And I think a lot of folks saw the U.S. Senate seat as a prime opportunity to do just that. And that's when they thought Thom Tillis would still be in the seat. So I think this has been a long time in the making.
So do you think, though, with him just leaving in January, is there going to be voter fatigue with him jumping, back in 6 months later?
Republicans certainly hope so. And you can expect Republicans are going to tie him to Hurricane Helene, the response to that. And you can expect them to also tie him to the pandemic and some of the shutdowns that happened across North Carolina. That said, Roy Cooper is a formidable candidate. He's been running for office since 1986 and has won every single time he's run. He's never lost a race. 6 of those, 6 have been statewide races. There's not another person in North Carolina who can claim that record. So there's plenty that Republicans will pick on when it comes to his record, but the facts are that he is a seasoned pro who knows this state and knows its politics, and it's going to be a tough race.
Yeah, he's accomplished, but there's also been the controversies that
Sure.
Republicans, you say, are going to definitely poke holes in his governorship. His bid for Senate, then, his strengths and weaknesses.
I think his strengths is that I think he's largely a well-known, popular, quote-unquote, Democratic governor here in the state. Of course, he has his detractors, but overall, I think he's a well-liked guy. He bridges the gap that Democrats have recently had so much trouble bridging, and that he's a guy from Nash County, grew up on a farm, taught Sunday school. He's not this, Charlotte urban elite who went to, private schools in Harvard and worked in, skyscraper uptown, which is what Democrats have gotten a label as. Now, politically, he is very progressive, but he comes in a package wrapped differently than a lot of other Democrats out there that will appeal to a lot of independent-minded people out there, and not just people in the state of North Carolina's urban core, of Charlotte, of Asheville, of Raleigh, of Durham.
Yeah, with the current political state then of North Carolina, how does this statewide appeal work to his benefit?
I think he's won 6 statewide races. I mean, that is, no one else can come close to that. And it's one thing if you run for Congress and you just run for your district, or you run for a city council race, but like he has won statewide the first 4 times as Attorney General, second 2 times as governor. That is experience that nobody can come close to. And if Republicans end up nominating Michael Whatley, that's what it's looking like, he is a savvy political operator and a savvy political fundraiser, but he's spent most of his career behind the scenes. He will be new at being a candidate running for office. So he has a steep learning curve when you compare him to somebody who's run for statewide office 6 times. I mean, it's big. And Michael Whatley's a capable, smart man who's been in politics for years. UNC Charlotte grad, grew up in Watauga County. But it is different once you actually having to run as the candidate himself.
Yeah, I was going to say, with Whatley in the race or expected to run here, all eyes are going to be on this Senate race for sure.
And Jane, it is always like that. I said earlier that North Carolina is filled with the kindest, warmest people on the planet. But our Senate races are some of the nastiest, meanest races you ever. I mean, just think back to Cal Cunningham and Thom Tillis in 2020. Think back probably 12 years ago, Elizabeth Dole and Kay Hagan. I mean, these are nasty, nasty races, and the national campaigns will dump money into this.
Oh, sure.
I would not be surprised if this is the most expensive race in the country next year. It just, Senate races here for North Carolina are not for the faint of heart.
No, I was going to
It
say
is.
we're going to watch just for the tea, all the possible,
and there will be tea. And Roy Cooper, like I think, sort of his mystique to a lot of people is that he's this, sort of steady, stable, boring, guy, from Nash County who grew up on a farm, and Republicans are going to do their very best to make sure that they paint him in a far different way.
Yeah, I've talked to both Cooper and Whatley, and they are so savvy and quick and smart,
Absolutely.
and they love this state, and then they're going to turn into different people when they...
Different entirely people. And you know what? At some point, these candidates are just part of the machine. I mean, they have huge national apparatus around them at that point who are paying for the ads, who are paying, and not to say it's out of their control because they are the candidates at this point, but it at some point does get bigger than them.
Yeah.
It does. Because keep in mind, what's at stake here is control of the U.S. Senate. And right now, Republicans have a slim lead. And so Democrats, they just need to pick up a couple of these seats. And when they see Roy Cooper, they see that as perhaps the best chance because he's a well-known guy who's won so many times in a state that currently has a Republican senator in Tom Tillis. So when if you're a Democrat nationally and you're looking to pick up in a few places, North Carolina is going to be the most obvious place.
Right. What do you think of Tillis stepping down, by the way? Was that something you saw coming?
I was a bit surprised. I've covered Tillis for years, followed him closely, and I was a bit surprised only because he had already announced at that point his campaign staff, and so it was like I thought if he was going to not run, he would have just said that several months ago. But within a month of announcing his campaign staff dropping out. I was kind of surprised, but you know what? And I don't know Senator Tillis personally or anything like that, but just in talking with him in my interactions, I do get the sense that, he likes his life. And he never hesitates to talk about how madly in love he is with his wife and their dogs. And he's always struck me as a guy who enjoys politics, but that he's okay living life up on the lake too.
Yeah, doesn't need it.
Yeah, and as we've seen play out over the last few years and during the first Trump administration, he butts heads with the president, and I think tries his best to walk that fine line, and I think it might have just gotten to the point of where he's like, you know what, I'm good. Peace, y'all.
Not worth it.
Let me finish out my next year and a half and be a dutiful soldier and a good Republican. And yeah. So I was surprised, but not entirely shocked.
Right. Well, another Senate race that is going to be the one to see.
Buckle up. Gird your loins. Gird your loins.
Gird your loins. Clutch your pearls.
I know, right?
All right, Ben Thompson here. Thank you for hanging out here in the Live Impact studio.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure for us as well. And it is just after 10 o'clock here on a Monday morning, off to a busy start, not only between Cooper's announcement running for Senate, but the heat. That is a major story as we are weather impact alert. We expect to hear from our Chris Mulcahy here any minute now. And the president, President Trump, is in the UK for a 5-day stint meeting with the Prime Minister of Northern Ireland and Great Britain. So let's go ahead and continue to listen in here on Live Impact News on WCNC+.
They'd borrow money to pay the estate tax, and they were not able to pay it. And some banks are ruthless; they wouldn't do anything, and they would end up committing suicide. We have totally ended the estate tax in those situations, so there's no estate tax. So when a parent leaves the farm to the kids, they don't have to worry about their local, possibly unfriendly banker coming in and stealing their farm.
Back to migration, one of the hot backward issues in Britain is migrants being housed in hotels and people in the local communities not feeling safe. Is that an appropriate place to house migrants?
I don't like anything about it. They shouldn't be allowed in. Anybody illegally should not be allowed in the country. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
And it looks like the president wrapping up his meeting as media there in Scotland are dispersing, with the president continuing his bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister of the UK. So just moments ago, we were beginning to play North Carolina former Governor Roy Cooper's announcement that he posted on X, his reasons for running for Senate. We can play this for you now here on Live Impact News on WCNC+. All right, we are lining that up here as we speak. In the meantime, it looks like Anson County officials are meeting, and they are meeting on a situation that Vanessa has been covering last week, the controversy around their animal shelters. Let's go to this scene right now happening live on Live Impact News.
It's my understanding, and Ms. Letts here, she can correct me if I'm mistaken this, but I'm not.
Yes.
She doesn't want to work for the two that I have moved under emergency management in a temporary fashion. Okay?
Right.
That's been clear. So I guess that's where I disrespected her whenever I put them there, because we didn't have anybody that would collect dogs and process animal control. So I need you all to let me know today where y'all want to put them, and then go back and make a motion that you'll have to fund whoever's going to take them out of the funds, that $398,761 I've already mentioned, as you alluded to. And then I want to know exactly who you want on the committee. I heard at least part of it, and what I got so far was the animal director, sheriff's office, health department, HR manager, and Ms. Morton. If there's any more than that, you have to let me know.
And whoever is over animal control at the conclusion of this meeting, whoever that would be.
Well, I think we need to go into closed session. So
can I ask a question before you? Before you guys go into closed session, you guys said about them not having keys to the animal shelter. The reason they don't have keys to the animal shelter is because they quit, and they put their keys on my desk, and that's why they didn't have keys.
Okay.
Excuse me. Employee matters.
This is
yeah.
We're going to closed session.
So, but we don't have to talk about the employee relations issues. I want to talk about the governmental structure of animal control, and I think that's a conversation we can have in a public setting, because this is a public issue. Now, I don't want to talk about who's working where, when, how.
But that's going to go back into the employees, so we need to discuss that in closed session first, and then we can come back in and discuss it.
Well,
I think first of all, what Commissioner Ellaby is alluding to is let's determine the positions needed.
Yeah. I mean,
it has no bearing on who's in it.
There's no bearing on who's working where.
All that kind of stuff. And what are the positions that's needed?
Some things I think will need to be decided in a public forum where the citizens of Anson County can see what we're thinking. We're elected to be here. And and being elected to be here means there's some conversations we need to have with the people. That's just my thought process on it. Now, I do have an issue with some things being said that the sheriff won't take it. Now, I have not had a conversation with Sheriff Howell, so I don't even know that to be true. I would like Sheriff Howell to come have a conversation with us, because I don't like the fact that it is being told to us he's not going to do it. I want him to say to me, to us, I know the sheriff that is an elected position, but we're being elected officials. We got to have these conversations, because there's an election coming up, and the people need to know why you don't want to do or whether or not you will do. And I don't mean that in no way, but as you know, these people that we are serving, our citizens, they need to know where we stand, because they're casting their votes. And if you voted for me to be here, I don't mind you understand, because when I get emails, telephone calls, Facebook messages, I don't like to have to tell a citizen I don't know. And there's no reason I should be sitting at this table as an elected official and things of decisions or whatever being made, whatever kind of way they're being made, and I don't have an adequate explanation to give to all of.
The time right now is 10:10. I'm Jane Monreal. We thank you for watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. As promised, it is a hot day. We are weather impact alert, and meteorologist Chris Mulcahy is working hard for the money today.
Back again.
Back again for all of this heat.
Yeah,
What can you tell us?
I actually did a little thing extra, so I want to bring this up real quick. I actually made a weather complaint box.
Stop it.
So, do you feel, does this heat have you heated?
Yes.
Please submit all of your weather complaints
gosh,
and
that's
hot
great.
takes to cmulcahy at
Hot
WCNC.com. Actually, shout out to a man named, who was it? Let me go find it. Joel Rutledge. Yeah, actually reached out and was like, oh, I actually got one. He said to add another complaint about our hot and humid weather, but no, seriously, he just said a lot of nice things. So,
Oh,
it was,
that's very nice.
So
All right,
I was like,
shout out,
Joel, you
Joel."
sweetheart. Now, but in all seriousness, if you haven't complained about this, then you are loving this weather. But it's not the best. You expect it during summer, but as we've said, yes, it gets hot in July. That's obvious. But the only time that we're really going above and beyond for the coverage of it is when it's more historical. The last time that we even had multiple 100-degree days in a row, even if it's just two, was 2015. And it was actually back in 2012 that we even got to 102. It was technically 104, but we haven't had a 102-degree high, and that's what we had yesterday, since 2012. So we're talking about 13 years ago. In recent memory, a lot of people don't really remember this. How many people have actually lived here in Charlotte 13 years, the way things have gone? I've only been here 7. And our heat advisor goes from noon until 8 o'clock today. Now, that's excluding the mountains, because you aren't as hot and you are our escape from this oppressive heat. But you also have a little bit of that fuchsia color off towards the east. That is an extreme heat warning. Those areas could get as much as 110 to 115. I actually saw Chirac get up to 115-degree heat index yesterday. Current temperatures, we already did it, y'all. 90 degrees.
Already.
It is 10 o'clock, because think about it. It was a few days ago, I can't even remember the day now, that we hit 90 degrees to keep our streak going. Well, we've already done it at 10 o'clock in the morning. And if you factor in our heat index, it feels like 95 in Charlotte, 98 degrees in Rock Hill. So we're going to have a 100-degree heat index before we even get to noon.
Even before lunchtime.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's going to be a soupy lunchtime.
step out.
Do not order soup. You don't want double soup.
Yeah.
Don't want soup.
Never double soup.
Don't eat hot things outside.
Oh, it's
Right
the
now,
worst.
I wouldn't eat. I would just
Right.
eat lunch inside.
No, I've
And
eaten.
have a salad.
Have
I've
a
eaten,
salad.
Yeah, salads are great. Something refreshing. A cold wrap.
I brought
That-
watermelon.
Ooh, watermelon's great.
Yeah.
I have my sad salad.
Sad salad. I mean, these are all things with water
What's
in
a
it, though.
sad salad?
It's a salad it's kind of the end
Just-
of your grocery shopping kind of week, and
Oh.
you're putting fixins.
It's
in
just
in
the iceberg
fridge.
lettuce.
Yeah, and you know whatever's left.
I know that.
That's
Yeah,
why
you-
I call it sad salad.
I like that. You don't. Yeah, I guess most of my salads are sad. Then yeah, you just throw it all in one bowl.
Like an omelet.
Right now,
Yeah.
yeah. Right now we're doing pantry palooza, trying to see
Oh.
what's in the pantry that we can eat.
Yeah, don't let it go to waste.
Mhm. Or a freezer free for all is also what we're doing.
Freezer sounds good with
Freezer
these temps.
sounds
Okay, sorry. That's right. So freezer free for all, but then that food ends up getting hot. But anyways, since we already did it 90 degrees, I already knew it was going to happen, so I already went ahead and moved us up to number 4.
Yeah.
Today is day 22 at 90 plus. We almost overlooked this now. This is the big news, but now we've been at 100. Now that's getting the focal point. And I am calling for a 100-degree high today. I think it's more than likely, since we're already up to 90 at 10 o'clock. We only have 10 degrees to go. I think we have a good shot at it. But here's today's top temps. 109, I think, for our heat index. 110 is the most that we got. It technically was like 106.7. I mean, excuse me, 109.7. I flipped the number upside down. And then 93 is the temperature in Lake Norman, as we mentioned. That is a wonderful batch of bath water.
Yeah.
Concrete at 135 and asphalt, I think, 155 to 170. So be advised. There's also Clark Creek Community Park. I'm not calling you out, but your slides are metal. Don't touch those slides.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's
Hot tushies.
yeah, it's like the 90s metal burners.
Yeah.
They got those. So try to stay clear of those. So here it is. Our dew points have come down a little bit, and I think that they're going to come down a little bit further, so that helps us out. But yeah, we're still going to have that feels like as we warm up at least 105 today. So that's why we have that heat advisory. And the highest heat indices, I think, are the next couple of days. And the moisture content actually comes up. Temperatures are actually on the way down, but we're still going to feel like 105, so a possible heat advisory on Wednesday. Thursday, I was talking with Brad, I think we're going to remove it, but it's also probably one of the more uncomfortable days. So it's kind of one of those weird things. It's going to feel super soupy, very uncomfortable, but we're just below that heat advisory criteria that we would really deem dangerous. And the reason why we're actually going to distance ourselves from that 100-degree point, we were calling on Friday that we could potentially do it 5 days in a row. This heat dome is moving, and when that happens, it starts to slope temperatures down, and it also introduces on the outer layer more showers and storms. That's exactly what we're going to see. But eventually, the jet stream is going to give us a trough, which invites some cooler air. Then, boo! 100 today,
Drop?
81 on Saturday.
Bring it.
It could have rain. We could have more clouds, but we'll take it, y'all. I know everyone's excited about this. And our dew points are also going to be on the downslope as well. But as you can see here over the next 36 hours, we got some troughs, some other pieces on the board that are going to allow for some more extra showers and thunderstorms. So I'm going to go through our rain chances, show you the 7-day, and then I'm outie. And then I think Becca will be back the next time you guys are in the studio.
Okay. Copy that.
Which, by the way, quick shout out to Becca. It's two words, but she was on Nightly News.
Oh, nice.
They had different meteorologists saying dangerous heat and stuff like that, and she was one of them. So I was just like,
Good job, Becca.
way to go,
Find
Becca.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I just watched. I was super excited. Becca.
Becca.
All right, so we have some isolated storms to the west. I think that there is a slight chance for an isolated showers today, but honestly, it looks to be more of an overnight guy. And you might have heard it yesterday. The thunder was pretty loud for those who saw a thunderstorm by the end of the day, starting off the evening. We have the environment, since it's so warm, that it literally builds sound. It almost traps it in a chamber. It's called a temperature inversion. So if we do have thunder later on tonight, it's the ones that could wake you up. It's also the ones that feel like they go on for minutes. So sometimes they do. And that's going to be the case in scenario, I think, really late evening, because look at these thunderstorms. They start to flourish across the area into the early morning hours. So we could have a nice, decent soaking rain. Where our best chances for rain really over the next several days are really during the evening after 6 o'clock. Better environment there. And you see storms potentially southeast and northwest of Charlotte. These could converge. Slight chance for storms for your Tuesday. Rinse and repeat. Do it again on Wednesday, where you have more pop-up showers and thunderstorms. So we're starting to return back to that because we don't have that heat dome that's really protecting us anymore. But then once we get all this to clear, once we get the rain on Friday into Saturday, Sunday and Monday, not only are we talking about the lower 80s, but we're talking about comfortable lower 80s. What in the witchcraft is that? Not complaining about it.
No.
But yeah, like, look at the end of this. That 83 that I have on Sunday, and I have 85 on Monday for day 8, those could be actually comfortable 80s.
Love it.
So that's amazing. So that not only will end our stretch, but also we'll have our first below normal lows since June 3rd. And it's August 3rd that we're actually projected to drop down the 60s. So it's been 2 months that we've had just oppressive, above average lows. Well, that's going to come to an end. So this is a much needed relief. Enjoy it. Even if it rains, we're in the 80s, not talking about 100.
That's fantastic. Or you could just go to the beach. I know you said Lake Norman's 93.
Yes.
What do you
Ocean temperatures are still in the low 80s.
Low 80s.
So it's better. It's like low to mid 80s last time I saw.
Yeah, you're warm and warm.
It's cooler in the Outer Banks, but Myrtle's getting a little bath watery. Yeah, it's moving up there. So yeah.
It looks lovely. Looks lovely.
Yeah, I should add the beaches to that graphic for tomorrow. So I'll be back.
Well, I know you'll be back tomorrow because we're going to stay
I'm planning on it.
alert. Yes, we're going to see you. All right, enjoy your day.
Hey, thank you.
Don't go in the metal slides.
Don't go on the metal slide.
Don't do it.
Hot
Why?
Buns. You don't want hot buns.
I
No
love
hot
that
buns,
part,
no
but
hot
why?
No hot buns.
No hot buns. All right. Thanks, y'all. Bye. Back here in the Live Impact Studio, sans Chris, we are going to do Third Time's a Charm. Third Time's a Charm, Carlene. Roy Cooper making his announcement on X. It's about a 2-minute video that he posted early this morning. Cross your fingers.
It wasn't always this hard because being in the middle class meant something. You could afford a home. Your kids went to good schools. Your job paid enough to cover the basics, and most summers you could get away for a few days. For the most part, life was pretty good. I'm Roy Cooper, and I know that today for too many Americans, the middle class feels like a distant dream. Meanwhile, the biggest corporations and the richest Americans have grabbed unimaginable wealth at your expense. It's time for that to change. I grew up in Nash County working on the farm every summer. My mom was a public school teacher, my dad a small-town lawyer and farmer. It's where I started my family, taught Sunday school for years, and started my law practice that helped everyday people and small businesses. When you made me your attorney general, I prosecuted criminals and took on scammers, big banks, and drug companies. When you made me your governor, we balanced the state budget every year and worked with Republicans to raise teacher pay, recruit thousands of better-paying jobs, and expand Medicaid to more than 650,000 working North Carolinians. But right now, our country's facing a moment as fragile as any I can remember. And the decisions we make in the next election will determine if we even have a middle class in America anymore. I never really wanted to go to Washington. I just wanted to serve the people of North Carolina right here where I've lived all my life. But these are not ordinary times. Politicians in D.C. are running up our debt, ripping away our health care, disrespecting our veterans, cutting health for the poor, and even putting Medicare and Social Security at risk just to give tax breaks to billionaires. That's wrong, and I've had enough. I've thought on it and prayed about it, and I've decided I want to serve as your next United States Senator, because even now, I still believe our best days are ahead of us. I love North Carolina, and I know you do too. I need you to be with us, and I can't wait to see you out there.
All right, we did it. Roy Cooper's announcement there on X as he is running for a Senate seat. More to come, I'm sure. Want to go back out to Anson County because a crisis at the animal shelter causing local leaders there to call for a meeting this morning. Let's go ahead and listen in on Live Impact News on WCNC+.
For a short time, but you've been the shelter director since it opened, in my opinion, okay, based on your performance. And not only has Ms. Lett done an excellent job of managing the animal shelter. She started at Parks and Recs as a teenager, a lifeguard. She's been associated with Anson County for many, many years. And it hurt me when I learned that there were rumors that this board wanted to push her out. We wanted to fire her. And that's just totally untrue.
Untrue.
And to solidify that, I'd like to make a motion of confidence and Ms. Maureen Lett as the animal shelter director in Anson County. That's my motion.
I'll second.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor by Mr. Gatewood as a vote of confidence for Ms. Maureen Lett as our animal shelter director, and we have a second by Commissioner Woodburn. Any other discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
As it is unanimous that I told you that this board supports Ms. Lett and her mission as our animal shelter director.
That's right.
I want to stress that the shelter operations is not the topic of discussion today, and it has not been the entire time. It is animal control, which, as Mr. Leary stated, he's been here for 8 months. I've been here going on 3 years, and it's been the topic of discussion since I was elected here. So we are trying to take adequate steps to improve animal control for this county, which in my mind, and I've had this conversation with Ms. Lett, if we have adequate animal control, it's going to make her job easier as animal shelter director. There's no doubt about it.
And I agree with that. I mean, me and Ms. Lett and Mr. Sauceman, we talk all the time. But it bounces off because I get the phone calls when they can't get anybody to come out and pick up these dogs where the citizens are complaining on the sheriff's office side. So it is out there, and the issue is animal control, not animal shelter. It's never been an animal shelter problem. It's always been animal control. And where do we go from here to get dogs picked up and get them to the shelters, what everyone is saying? But Ms. Lett, friends, y'all do a great job in what y'all do out there. You know, even Mr. Streeter said earlier, he went out there to help out. I remember that right before I came on the board. That was going on. So, I mean, I get it. But like I said, the problem is animal control. We were charging the municipalities to pick up their dogs, and that wasn't happening. So we got to get to the point where we can figure out how we're going to get them to the shelter for y'all to take care of them.
It's not feasible to have one animal control officer for the entire county. And I've been coming and telling you guys, I mean, one person can't do that and take calls 24/7 because you burn people out. Like, to put in a lot of hours, it's not feasible for one person to do that.
I agree. So,
Can I give you guys a really good thought?
yes, ma'am. Last one.
I had this really mean little sucker named Kobe, about this big, that would eat anybody up. Had teeth away except Marie and Akimi. Just two people. You could not touch this dog. He stayed in the shelter for quite a while. Marie has got him in Canada to this woman that is making so much money, and all she does is post this mean little sucker that you couldn't touch. And now he's in Canada, of all places, on Facebook all over, that he came from Manson County.
Yep.
That is awesome.
His owner has 11.4 million followers on social media. She also has OnlyFans, whatever that is.
That is just a testament to Miss Lett's networking of capabilities. But,
Oh, Lord, work of the team.
all right.
He was mean. Definitely, he was
No. All right.
I'd like to make that motion for us to go into closed
Yes.
session.
Second it. We have a motion to. All right, hold on. We have a motion to go into closed session. We have a second. Any discussion? And I'm gonna hear one last.
I want to say that this is not Lynn's fault. He's just been in the hot seat, okay? He's done an excellent job for this county. And he should not take any blame for this.
Thanks, Charles.
Thank you. I want to say before we take a vote, I do appreciate the Friends of Anson, the animal shelter volunteers, all of your work. I think if nothing else, this last week has proven the capabilities that you as citizens can do for this county, and I agree with you 100%. Don't just come when we have an issue. Be there all the time. If we see that kind of support all the time, it's only going to get better. It's only going to improve the situation in this county. So thank you, and thank you again to Ms. Lett for the job that you do as the shelter director. So, all right. All in favor of going in close?
And it looks like they're about to go into a closed door session. But if you want to see Vanessa's interview on this topic, particularly the animal shelter crisis in Anson County, that is on our website, WCNC.com. Right now, let's switch gears and go over to Florida because Governor Ron DeSantis holding a press conference, although there are a number of other speakers here. This is the governor's presser in Panama City, Florida, happening live on Live Impact News on WCNC+.
So much hope and excitement. Thank you.
Thanks, Doctor.
Well, thank you, Governor. It's great to be here with you. And I think it's safe to say that there is no other governor who has done more for families than Governor DeSantis. So thank you, sir. He has ensured that parents are at the forefront of their child's education, and this policy helps those parents get the tools necessary for their children's success as we go into the 2025-2026 school year. And as a father of 4 girls, when I read that I'm going to be able to save on clothing and shoes, I was extremely excited. I promised my girls I was going to call them out today because we were going to our community pool yesterday, and of course, everybody has sandals or hand-me-downs, and nobody can find their sandals. I find a pair of 8 and a pair of 6. Never there's a matching pair of shoes. And so I said, girls, I'm going to call you out at the press conference tomorrow because I know that I'm going to have to buy that many more shoes as we go into this upcoming school year. And the book bags, that's another thing. We can't just use the same book bags from last year. Now everybody has to have a new book bag so they don't get called out. So I'm excited for this important tax policy. I remember as a kid growing up, going with my mother to be able to utilize this to get school supplies for myself. This is very important. And when you think
Well, it looks like that picture is frozen. Perhaps it will come back online. In the meantime, here at 10:30, you are watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We have a number of things going on this morning here on Live Impact News. We did, of course, listen in live with President Trump talking to the Prime Minister of the UK, and that was a nice long briefing earlier today. More to come on that on WCNC Charlotte. And Panthers training camp also well underway. Of course, that started last week. A lot of exciting things to talk about in sports. So Sports Director Nick Carboni will be coming up at 10:40. So just about 10 minutes from now. And former Governor Roy Cooper also announcing his bid for a Senate seat for North Carolina. We played that announcement for you as well. That happened on X. If you do want to listen to Anson County's animal crisis conversation with our Vanessa Rufus, that is available, happening on our app as well as WCNC.com. And the announcement as well with Roy Cooper also happening. That is going to be on our website as well. In the meantime, before President Trump went over to the UK, a number of announcements made in the trade deals and all the tariffs talk around the world with the U.S. Let's get you caught up with Alice Barr in Washington with more.
After months of tense tariff threats, a highly anticipated deal between top trading partners, the United States, and the 27 nations of the European Union.
It's the biggest of all the deals. Thank you very much.
The agreement reached at President Trump's private club in Scotland sets 15% tariffs on most European goods entering the U.S. The European Commission president emphasizing stability.
It will bring predictability. That's very important for our businesses on both sides of the Atlantic.
She underscored the improvement from the 30% import tax President Trump had threatened, while acknowledging it's still a real cost.
15% is not to be underestimated, but it is the best we could get.
The rate does apply to European cars, but there are exceptions, including no tariffs on aircraft parts, certain generic drugs, and some agricultural products. As details are hammered out, no word yet on rates for in-demand European wines. President Trump says the EU will not impose tariffs on U.S. imports and will purchase $750 billion worth of American energy while investing an additional $600 billion into the U.S.
And they're agreeing to purchase a vast amount of military equipment.
It comes ahead of an August 1st deadline when countries that haven't reached a deal will see higher tariffs, forcing U.S. businesses that import materials from abroad to absorb more added costs.
It's a lot to shoulder for small business owners.
Or pass them along to consumers. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And of course, the big story around the Carolinas is this heat wave. It is dangerous. We want to make sure that you are staying safe, watching out for your neighbors and your pets. Chris Mulcahy was here in the Live Impact studio earlier with an extensive breakdown on what we can expect. But there are also things you need to know for your health and your safety. So let's get to some of the symptoms on exhaustion and heat stroke. There's his pre-recorded feature here on Live Impact News.
Here's the things to look out for over the next couple of days. I can say this through personal experience. For heat exhaustion, heavy sweating happens even when you're in the sunshine. But when you're profusely sweating and start feeling thirsty, well, that's actually the first sign. But when that thirst turns to a drier throat, that's where you're getting closer to this. Within minutes, all of a sudden, you could start to feel tired. That tiredness turns to fatigue. That fatigue can turn to dizziness. At this point, I would go to a cool place, drink some water, and even lay down. If you push yourself past that point of fatigue, sometimes you might have to rest for the rest of the day because your energy doesn't quite recover. You don't want to get to the point of being nauseous. Once you're nauseous, next things like confusion and unconsciousness could be on the table. That's where heat exhaustion officially is changing over to heat stroke. At that point, you could stop sweating. That is the #1 sign to call 911 immediately because the body's defense mechanism is shutting down. When we sweat, it goes through evaporational cooling, and that's the way that our body temperatures are regulated. But if you stop sweating, the body temperature can get above 103. You turn red hot, and that's that point, that's where things are starting to shut down. Rapid pulse. You again don't want to get to that point, and you never want to lose consciousness. A headache can also develop at this point as well, but the good news is your body tells you many other signs well before you get to this point. So listen to yourself and stay safe over the next few days especially.
All right, so we're taking care of your health. We also want to make sure you have the power to stay cool, literally the power. So we had our Anders Hare talk to Duke Energy on the tips and things you need to know, keeping your AC down, making sure you have the fans on. Here are some tips from Duke Energy on WCNC+.
So tell me a little bit about how Duke Energy is preparing for the extreme heat.
Yeah, so extreme heat is definitely coming. We've all seen that forecasted, and we stay prepared 24/7. So just like storms, Duke Energy has a team of meteorologists and actually our system operators, and they monitor the weather conditions for us 24/7 just to ensure that we have an adequate supply of electricity to meet customer demand. Because what happens with these extreme temperatures, we do see an increase in demand on the grid, and that's usually because customers, of course, want to be cool. So the natural thing to do is just to bump up your AC. So we kind of see that across the board. So, we do a lot of modeling during the year, always knowing what is coming. So we're always prepared for situations like this. So we do have a detailed plan to manage the power grid in extreme conditions, and we're going to be working that plan as needed this weekend into next week.
How can folks prepare their homes for the heat? So what sort of things should they be doing?
Yeah. So we talked about AC, air conditioning, and your AC unit is the biggest energy user in your home. And so if you think about it, your system's going to work harder the hotter it gets outside. So let's say you set your temperature to 70 degrees. Progressively over the day, as it gets hotter, your AC unit's going to work harder. And what that means is you're using more energy. So even just bumping up your AC a couple of degrees, within the realm of being comfortable is going to help you save money on your bill. So that's one really big thing you can do. Also, just thinking about some other energy saving tips around the house, washing clothing in cool water. That's another way because you're not heating up that water. Not using those big heat generating appliances in the morning hours. So, not using those heat generating appliances, using those in the morning hours, which is generally cooler. So think about your oven, your stove, things like that. Another big thing you can do is with the blinds and the curtains in your home. If they're on the sunny side of the house, just close those because that helps stop some of that natural, sunlight from coming in, which can unnecessarily heat up your home. And then also with your fans, if you have a ceiling fan, you want to operate that in a counterclockwise direction because that's going to allow you to bump up your temperature a little bit while still staying cool.
So obviously a lot of your workers are going to be out in the heat as well, responding to calls. So what is Duke Energy doing to protect its own workers during this extreme heat?
Safety is number one for Duke Energy always, and that is with our employees too. So we do a lot of the things that you would think about. So they hydrate, they take breaks. They are used to working in all kinds of extreme conditions. So you've got the heat of the summer. You've got, of course, the cold temperatures of the winter. They are able to rotate here and there, but safety will always be number one. And we do take care of them and make sure they stay safe in the heat.
Nice. Is there anything that I haven't asked you or you haven't said that you want people to know?
Um, I would just say we're kind of in the middle of summer here, so we are not out of kind of the danger zone of these temperatures yet. We do encourage customers to take advantage of a lot of the products and services that we offer that can help them save energy and money on their bill. You can go to our website, duke-energy.com, look at our products and services. Something off the top of my head, our Smart Saver program, customers can get rebates, on a lot of upgrades like attic insulation, HVAC systems, things like that. We actually offer a free energy assessment in your home. It's called our Duke Energy. What is it called? Home Energy House Call is what it's called, but it's a free assessment in your home. We send somebody out to kind of look through, help you see where you're using energy and help you take more proactive steps to be more energy efficient. And we have a virtual option for that as well.
Nice. And just one more question. So in the event that my power goes out and my AC goes out, what steps can I take to make sure that Duke Energy is aware and make sure that I can possibly get energy stored as soon as possible?
Yeah, the heat is not just, I just want to correct something like a misperception. So the heat is not going to make your power go out. People, I think, tend to think that a lot of times. We prepare and make sure that we have adequate resources to serve our customers. In the event something happens and it goes out for another reason, of course, we have teams on call that are ready to respond. But the heat itself is not going to make your power go out. We just see heavy demand on the grid. And so that is where we can call in additional resources, so whether, we can purchase power from other areas, we can ask customers who participate in voluntary demand response programs, which is basically load reduction programs that are incentivized to do that. We have a lot of triggers we can pull when there's excessive demand on the grid. So it's your power is not going to go out, I guess, because of the heat is kind of what I'm getting at. If for some reason you do experience an outage, always want you to report that to us. And you can do that by calling us at 800 Power On.
All right, time right now is 10:40, and we have a very good day today, a Monday. Yeah, it's a Monday, but it's also a training camp. We continue to talk about training camp, and our Carboni, I call him by his last name because we also have Sturdivant in the house, but we have our Nick Carboni, who is on the phone with us this morning. How you doing, Nick?
I'm good, Jane, here at Panthers practice, first padded practice of training camp. So we should be able to observe a whole lot today and have reports for you later on how that goes. But interesting day. Anytime the first day of pads, I get 16 of them. So it's always something we try to glean some stuff from.
All right. So what can we expect today?
Yeah, I think, well, it's hot, as you guys well know. So anytime you get the pads on, it is an intensity that is ratcheted up just a little bit. Here in team drills, there is not full contact or tackling. You still cannot contact the quarterback, but you will feel a little bit more intensity in the air, especially, we talked about some of that trash talk that carried over from mini camp into the beginning of training camp. Well, now the pads come on. Now there's a little bit more contact and a little bit more pressure on the quarterback. So I think first and foremost to see how Bryce Young responds and take it from there. It's hot, as I mentioned, but they have there's actually a breeze built into today. I didn't know that was happening, so we're pleasantly surprised. But they have the cooling trailer. Of course, they're staying hydrated and have all other ways to monitor individual players and their body temperatures today. So they're trying to get the work in these temperatures because, you've got to prepare for all elements.
Yeah, absolutely. From heat to winter. And so by the end of last week, the trash talking, the cautious optimism, what's the buzz as they looked to this week and with the heat and preparing for it?
Yeah, I think that, Bryce Young had a couple of interceptions on the first 2 days last week, and then Saturday had a sharp day. And outside of those interceptions on Wednesday and Thursday, he did have pretty sharp days. And again, they were not in pads. The offense is still trying to install its offense, its plays. The defense is basically operating out of its base defense every time. So I think there wasn't any cause for concern there. And he had a full day of good decisions on Saturday. Again, that's something in a few minutes here we will see more of as he enters 11-on-11 team drills with pads on, with a little bit more pressure on him. So I think we're looking to that and to see really how all the players on the team respond. Anybody coming off of injury, like Derek Brown, how he responds to a padded team practice today. Some of the rookie receivers, now that there's contact at the line of scrimmage when they're trying to free up and run their route. So all things you can take away. And they're about to do one-on-one drills also, which is always fun for fans to see. And we'll get some of those clips out there where, you'll have Tetairoa McMillan, the rookie receiver, go up against veteran and Pro Bowl cornerback J.C. Horn, and all sorts of fun matchups that usually, we try not to take too much away from them, but they do show you a little bit in those drills. So we're about to see those. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, it's a whole nother game when you get the pads on, right, Sturdivant? He always joins me now on our conversations with you, Carboni, because he's our number one Panthers fan.
I understand the pads. I played 2 years of varsity football, so I understand a little bit.
There you go. Come on.
I understand a little bit.
How do you feel about coming down today? 99 degrees, put some pads on, get out there with these guys.
You and J.C. Horn.
There you go. Hey, look.
Run some routes.
Nah, I'm retired. But Carboni, I have two questions. I'll start with this first one. Hunter Renfrow, right, is a great story. Socastee High School's finest. Played there in the Myrtle Beach, Conway area in high school. How's he looking in camp?
Well, I mean, I thought in my view that he was looking better than he did in minicamp. Remember, I mean, just to recap, sat out a year of football, had ulcerative colitis, was very ill, lost a lot of weight, was certainly not in football shape, got the itch to come back once he cleared that, and has been with the Panthers since minicamp and has progressed basically every stage of the offseason. I thought he looked pretty good in camp the first week, and then Dave Canales kind of confirmed it this weekend when he said, I feel like I'm looking at the old Hunter Renfrow that went to the Pro Bowl with the Las Vegas Raiders. We will actually get a chance to talk to Hunter one-on-one today, so you can absolutely look out for that this afternoon on WCNC Charlotte and here on WCNC Plus. And also Dabo Swinney, his Clemson coach, is at practice today. So it's kind of a Hunter Renfrow day here at training camp. Can't wait to hear what he has to say about, if Dave Canales says he feels like he's watching the old Hunter Renfrow, I'm going to ask Hunter, does he feel like the old Hunter Renfrow? But yeah, he's looked good. He's in a crowded wide receiver room, obviously, but with his name, with his resume, and his talent, he can absolutely make this team out of training camp.
One last question before you get you out of here, Carboni. You talked about a crowded wide receiver room. Is there a way for them to keep all of those, or do you get a sense that all of these guys are going to stay with the Panthers?
Well, there's a whole lot of them. There's like a dozen of them, so no. But I know the ones you're talking about. So let's go through it. If they say they keep 6, you've got Tetairoa McMillan, you've got Adam Thielen. I'm just going with guys that are probably going to make the roster. They drafted Jimmy Horn. He was a late draft pick, but he looks good. I don't think they're going to part with him. Got Hunter Renfrow here, Jalen Coker from last year, Dan Chisena from last year, and David Moore. Many people right now think it's going to be, the bubble is kind of like David Moore and Hunter Renfrow, two veteran guys who play similar roles, slot receivers. David Moore kind of had a career resurgence himself last year with Bryce Young, and was a reliable target for him in big situations. So it's not as easy as just saying, Hunter's from the area and we love him, so let's give him the spot. Obviously, he's going to have to earn it, and he's really competing with another veteran. Even if it's not really down to those two, if they drew it up on the board like that, I bet you those two guys internally are competing with each other.
All right.
Man, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Unless we add Nick Sturdivant to the receiver room, then it's a whole different.
Oh yeah, then I'm sorry, Hunter. David Moore, I'm sorry.
Yes, move over. All right, Nick Carboni, are you staying hydrated?
I've put down a couple of big waters already. We've got the neck cooling fan, which after 9 years of covering training camp, never had. Bought one this weekend. Kevin, our photojournalist, has it right now, so he's doing all the heavy lifting. But yeah, and like I said, there's somehow a breeze up here on top of Cedar Street, so we're loving that.
Yeah, enjoy that while you can. All right, we know you need to go and do your thing, so thank you for taking the time out to call us and check in. Nick, have fun.
Appreciate you, Carboni.
Thank you, guys. Talk to you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. All right, Sturdivant, you feeling all that?
You know what? I am curious. I think that is probably, for me as a fan, one of the things that, yeah, I'm curious about. I wonder how the wide receiver room is going to shake out. I know he said that usually you have in training camp, you know, your roster is not set. You have an overload of players. Obviously, you got to trim it down by preseason. But the guys that he mentioned are the guys I'm thinking about. I'm like, how do these pieces fit? How is it going to benefit Bryce Young? And you have this crowded wide receiver room, but oh yeah, you have a JT Sanders who is a top tight end that you drafted, a Tommy Tremble, a guy that you drafted. So you want to work those guys in. So it's only one football that you can get around to all these guys, 6-7 guys. So how does that all shake out?
Yeah,
so,
it's a good little puzzle, but see the combination of plays and players, and we'll see how it all shakes out.
And don't forget, Dan Morgan went to the University of Miami. So Jane, you
Jane's
know,
boy.
yeah, Jane is a Panthers fan.
Jane's now a
Come
part
on.
of this.
She's a
All
Panthers
right.
fan. So I'm just saying.
I am. I'm always a fan of where I work. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, Jane.
Go Panthers!
That's exactly how we say it.
That's right.
Oh wait, no, you do the cat thing.
Wow. I can't do it.
That little baby.
I
little
did it
baby
better in the
tiger.
studio. It felt forced this
All right,
morning.
what else is cooking for you? 12:30.
Heat.
Yeah, literally.
Miles Harris is going to be looking at heat impacts. Specifically, you got to think about it. This is like the last week for, I believe, kids in South Carolina before they go back to school. So they're going to try to eke out as much fun in the sun. No, this sounds cliche and corny, but as
But
as
yeah,
much
you
fun in the
gotta
sun.
milk every last minute of summer that
Yeah.
you can, but it's also boiling hot outside.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how do we get, you can keep kids safe and allow them to have fun at the same
You
time.
mentioned that because he said the park that he went to over the weekend that had metal slides.
Yes, I forgot
Making
which
in the heat.
park.
I said hot tushies. You don't want that.
Dangerous.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
these kids, I'm like, you just lost it out on a slide. 'Cause it's too hot.
Poor
And
things.
Carowinds is open too, so
Yep.
I mean it's not
Right.
Yeah, I don't think they're closed today.
I don't believe so. I'll have to take a look. He
Also,
always puts me on the spot when things are
I know
over
I
or
didn't
not.
mean to. This is accidental. And while Carlene is looking that up, also Kaylin Howard is looking into Governor Roy Cooper, or former Governor Roy Cooper, who just made the announcement this morning, a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, we
about
played his announcement after a couple of, false
tries.
alarms, but
we
we
talked
were
to
able.
Sweet Ben Thompson.
Ben Thompson weighed in.
Because his
He's
years
covered
of
'em.
Flashpoint experience.
I remember covering. How much time do we have? I remember
Plenty.
covering the Cooper McCrory election back in 2016.
Yeah.
And Roy Cooper was the AG he was an AG prior, and McCrory had all the momentum. Jane has heard this story before. He had all the momentum. He was endorsed by Trump, who was running for his first term, and then the bathroom bill happened, and pretty much things tanked for Pat McCrory. He did not win a second term. Roy Cooper won. And he just kind of took off politically after winning 2 terms, winning again in 2020. And a lot of people don't know this, but he's from Nashville, North Carolina, Nash County. He has a law firm there in Nashville. So he is a Eastern North Carolina guy.
Yeah. Went to Chapel Hill.
And went to Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, so it's interesting to see how this shakes out. So yeah, I'm just kind of.
Well, Ben told us we need to bring our popcorn because it's going to get.
It's going to get expensive.
Expect nothing less.
It's going to get heated. It's going to get.
There's a lot to watch here in North Carolina. It seems like really every election anyway.
Yeah.
Sure.
That there's
It's
always
high
we're always
stakes
watching.
This one.
Yeah.
But
It
yes,
seems to be a high stakes.
between Tillis, Cooper,
Yeah.
Watley,
And those are 2 guys.
national campaigns.
When I was in Raleigh, Watley was a guy that we when I was working in Raleigh that we interviewed a lot. That was a spokesperson for the Republican Party in North Carolina. Obviously, he's risen to national prominence. But somebody like Roy Cooper, who I was in Raleigh during the second term as governor, and he dealt with a lot of pushback from Republicans. There was a supermajority there in the legislature, so he would veto a bill and then it get overridden. So he faced a lot of challenges during his term as governor, at least in that second term when I covered. So again, it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out. North Carolina, Democrat governor, but also flipped red
Yep.
during the presidential election.
Yep.
So just interesting things.
Yeah.
State is interesting.
Eyes
Yeah.
will be on
Yeah.
the Tar Heel State.
By the way, Carowinds is open.
Carowinds is
I got
open.
a live
Why
shot
wouldn't
here.
Carowinds
Look,
be closed?
Well, because
Well, it's-
sometimes
see-
they maybe close during the beginning of the week,
Yeah.
and they're open
Oh,
on weekends,
gotcha.
and they flip flop their schedule from year round to go back. They
And we
they pulled
haven't
it back,
seen this
so-
heat in a long time. Like, it's been decades. It's been like 40 years since we've seen this stretch of heat. So, you know, I don't know. I'm guessing.
The Fury's
but-
going. We just missed it, but there are people going up on the Fury.
Oh, gosh.
That's the heat relief right there.
Jane,
Right.
are you a roller coaster person?
Used to be.
You used to, not now? What happened?
Age.
No, I love roller coasters. You're a roller coaster.
Oh, I
guy.
love
Yeah,
roller coasters. Yeah. I mean, Carowinds. I'm a Carowinds kid. Like, I
Yeah,
grew up
so
on
am I.
Carowinds.
Yeah.
And, you know,
No, I used to
think
do them a lot, but you know, I can do the ones in Disney.
Yeah, they're
Like
a
the
little
teacup
tame.
ride?
No,
They're
but more
tame-
than
they're
the
a little
tea.
more tame.
I mean,
Not
even in
your-
Hollywood, Hollywood Studios, when you go, it's the rock and roll one. It's fun. You go backwards, and but that's pretty much it now.
You wouldn't do this roller coaster is shut down. It's closed. It's retired, I should say. Thunder Road, where it was a wooden roller coaster. It would go forward and backwards, and you could see over the park.
Oh,
yeah, I could do that.
I remember that.
Yeah, I mean,
I remember hearing it because you're going. It is loud. It was a loud ride.
I'm waiting for the Fury to go. Oh, there it is.
There it is. They're going. They're going.
Yeah,
They're going
it's
up.
that anticipation when you go up.
Yeah.
I start freaking out now. and then if it goes down and then upside down and then
All
twisty
around?
twirly.
Around.
You're not a twirly?
I'm usually closing my eyes now.
Oh,
No. It's like, why
eyes wide
are you
open.
wasting a roller coaster on me? I'm closing my eyes.
I love roller coasters,
Same.
but I hope the kids, you know, again, Miles is covering that story. I'm not sure where he's going now. He just left before I got back here, but you know, it's one of those things that you got to think about as a parent, as I'm an uncle.
Yes.
You know, when you have the kids, you got to make sure they're, especially in this heat, the asphalt. Chris Mulcahy had a graphic,
155.
right? That is
Asphalt
insane.
155, yeah.
It's insane. Even the
Oh.
grass is hot. When
Yeah.
Brad did a post over the weekend with his little thermometer, he's like in the
Yeah.
grass. Like,
what was the grass?
Oh, it was like it was
almost
like 120 or
100.
something. Like it was still so hot in the grass, even though it was in the sun. So
I'm surprised we haven't done the fried egg experiment.
Somebody mentioned that in the morning meeting.
Oh, really?
The fried egg.
It might still happen.
Oh, okay.
It might. I
That
mean,
used to be a very popular reporter story, is
Yeah.
to
Yeah, the
throw
fried-
the fried egg on the
there.
sidewalk,
you
see if it cooks.
the egg.
No, on the ground.
For $1 million, yes.
If I'm getting
that's
paid,
fair, yeah,
sure.
yeah. I mean,
if I'm getting paid, are
it's a
you
lot
gonna pay
of-
me?
Not for $1.
crunching in that.
Not just for the egg. No, I need some
Little
cold
spice.
hard cash.
Somebody left the oil spot in the parking lot, so the egg can,
Oh,
you know,
natural oil,
yeah. so you don't have to worry about the egg sticking to the pavement. There you go.
But that's when it's all
you can do that.
It's all bad. And then I know there was a verify on temperament or tempers.
Yeah,
and
you get
irritability.
heated in the heat, and I
in the heat.
Which is true. So I dropped off some stuff. Quick story. I dropped off some stuff at the Goodwill donation truck over the weekend yesterday.
Good for you.
And my husband, thanks. We're doing some spring cleaning. So the hubs said, wow, you need some air conditioning. Like, you know, Captain Obvi, sure. But he was trying to make light of it. You know, the guy was sitting in the shade. Or a tough day to do this, right?
Right.
And the guy was like, do you see power out here? How am I going to get some air conditioning out here? It was kind of a joke, fella.
Yeah.
It was a
But
joke.
the
We were
heat-
trying
the
to.
heat takes
We
a
were
toll
trying to
on
support
people.
you.
Yeah.
You need some air conditioning. Sorry, don't mean to
The
strike
heat
a
is nothing to joke about.
hit a
Jane.
nerve there.
The nerve of him.
The nerve.
Everybody just be nice during the heat. It's too hot to
be
be
nice.
It's too hot to be bitter.
I didn't do
Just be
anything
nice.
this weekend because I know how I feel in the heat. So,
All
you
right.
know.
Well, we're going to see a little bit more of Nick Stewart event coming up at 12:30. Carlene is here the afternoon.
That's right.